I'm Lee from Still Gaming.
And I'm Z, also known as Little Miss Gamer.
And you are listening to the very first inaugural, there's never been one before this one, debut episode of the leeandz Show in the second half of March 2009.
This bi-weekly half-hour podcast is about all sorts of interesting stuff. We're going to talk about video games, movies, gadgets, anime, all kinds of geeky stuff. And definitely we're going to touch on retro stuff as well as modern stuff. So you never know what we might talk about, but it's definitely something that we find interesting and that we want to share with you.
Show notes and links about some of the subjects we're going to talk about today will be up at leeandz.com. But before we jump headfirst into things, we'll give you the rundown on most of the things that's going to happen on today's show. First up, we'll be letting you know a little bit about ourselves.
Then we'll be talking about a few more recent things in the news, and then we're going to go old school on you with some great things from the past, so definitely stick around for that. So first, we're going to tell you guys a little bit about what we do. I mean, maybe some of you know me as Little Miss Gamer from PBC Productions, and maybe some of you know Lee from Still Gaming, but do you really know who we are and what we do? Maybe you only know me, or maybe you only know Lee. So we're just going to kind of tell you a little bit about who we are. So Lee, why don't you go first?
Sure, I'm Lee, and I do this show on YouTube and thatguywiththeglasses.com called Still Gaming. It reviews games from all consoles, all eras, from the Atari 2600 to the Nintendo Wii. Reviews mostly great classics, but I also review the hottest new games, good and bad, as well as games nobody even played before or nobody even gave a second thought to, like a Pac-Man Championship Edition or a Ninja Golf. And I've been doing this for almost 2.5 years now. Since December 2006, I started with no experience, and despite all that, I've been ever striving to improve, and I'm just grateful today to be on thatguywiththeglasses.com alongside such great shows as The Nostalgia Critic, The Spoonie Experiment, and Little Miss Gamer.
I'm Z, also known as Little Miss Gamer. I think I've said that maybe 3 times already. I am a part of PBC Productions, which is a production company that I am the production manager of. And we produce really great shows like Little Miss Gamer, and also a show called The New Adventures of Captain S, which was shown on screwattack.com along with our site and is now all over the internet in lots of different places. And we've been around for over 2 years now. So it's a really exciting time to be making video content for the internet, and we try to do that as often as we can.
Great stuff. All right, our top news story today is that, well, let's just ask Z a question first. Z?
What's up? Yeah.
Have you seen the movie The Wrestler starring Mickey Rourke?
Actually, I have, and I really liked it. I did. I thought it was a lot like the documentary Beyond the Mat. It's as if somebody, watched that documentary and said, you know what, we could totally make this a Hollywood movie, and took, aspects of Jake the Snake's life and Mick Foley and all these other things and kind of like mushed them together into a 2-hour-long Hollywood drama. But I actually really liked it, and I thought they, for the most part, really hit the nail on the head. But as far as we're concerned, as video game people, one of the most interesting aspects of the movie that I thought was that they actually had an old school NES game that was created specifically for the film. Now, have you seen the movie yet? Did you get a chance to check out that game?
Actually, I've not seen the full movie yet, but I did see the segment in question because I was really I saw this story on Kotaku about how these two people, they're called a brother-sister combination. They made this game called Wrestle Jam 88, which is based off of WWF WrestleMania and pro wrestling for the NES. They actually went through the motions to make a real, not a real NES game, but it's based off of like what NES hardware would be. They haven't mapped a controller to work with it. You have the two wrestlers, the Ayatollah, and Mickey Rourke's character, Randy the Ram Robinson. And they're just hitting these buttons while the main character, Mickey Rourke, plays with this little kid is just talking about, I want to play Call of Duty 4. Call of what now? Call of Duty 4. I didn't see it as a big part of the film, but...
Well, actually, I thought that it wasn't a throwaway moment. I thought it was actually a really interesting plot device as far as moving the story along, because at this point, he's a wrestler that's kind of, washed up. He's trying to figure out what's happening in his life, and here we are about halfway through the movie, and we cut to the scene where it's him and this kid from the trailer park, and they're playing the game, and the kid isn't nearly as into it as he is. And he probably never went beyond a Nintendo. And this kid is trying to tell him, yeah, Call of Duty 4, it's this war game, and we could play it. And the kid is not really that impressed with this old school thing. And it really sets up this nice juxtaposition between the old and the new, the young and the old, and how they relate to each other, and what they really have to grasp onto. So I thought that as far as that went, it was great, and that the game itself really looked like a true Nintendo game. I mean, if I didn't know any better, I would have been fooled. It really had all the elements. It had the music, it had the really great sprites, the artificial intelligence that isn't that great. I mean, all of those things really, they did the research for sure.
Definitely. I'm really glad for your analysis on that, because I wouldn't have seen any further than that had you not told me about that just now. But yeah, let's talk about the music for a little bit. They actually made a custom-made 8-bit NES theme, and it was a really awesome tune, and it was kind of degraded by a few things because you could barely hear it in the movie, and they were playing awful Pac-Man and Donkey Kong Atari sound effects, like the stuff that you would hear in all movies in the 80s, like Superman 3 and other stuff. It's kind of wasted, but the creator of the song was kind enough to put it up on YouTube, and we will have a link up to that. I've asked the guy to put it up for download as an MP3, and I'll update you on when that's available. But it's a really great theme. If it had come out in 1988, as the title of the game is Wrestle Jam 88, this would definitely be one of those themes that people would think, that's really awesome. It's not as great as, say, a Mega Man game or Journey to Silius, but it's definitely an above-average tune, and it really showed that the two people that made this game, they had a lot of love for the NES.
Oh, for sure. I think they did a great job. And also, when we were watching the movie, I was watching it with Chad, and he noticed that he was like, I recognize those sound effects. I recognize the, what is it? What is it? And hours later, he all of a sudden said, it was Donkey Kong. I know it. And we did some research, and it turns out it was Donkey Kong, and also a little bit of Pac-Man thrown in that they used for the sound effects. But again, they were really true to the art form, and it was really nice to see that, not just as a throwaway thing, but as an actual plot device that helped move the story along.
Yep, and we here at the Lee and Z Show, we don't necessarily endorse emulation, ROMs, things like that, but I am definitely hoping that a ROM image somehow sneaks its way on the internet someday for this really neat game. I'm really hoping that they include, if we have a ROM image, I know somebody's very good at hacks, if they included the Necro Butcher from Combat Zone Wrestling. He actually fights Mickey Rourke in the movie. This guy's a real wrestler, and he really does. Yes, he uses that staple gun as a fist, and it's just awful. I saw some videos up on YouTube. I'm gonna have a link for it. All I can say is, Z, do not click the link. All right, just for.
I think I can handle it. I mean, I read Mick Foley's biography, so I knew that stuff like that was out there, and I know that it's happening and everything. But I didn't realize that person was a real wrestler and that he actually used that staple gun. Like, that's his gimmick.
The staple gun is the tamest part of it. Then they start fighting with light tubes.
Oh, that's awesome.
They start smashing them over people, and before the end of the match, they are both bloodied up so bad. I mean, in choreographed wrestling, you usually have like a blade hidden, which is what you saw in the movie The Wrestler, and you take it and you cut your head. Not with the light tubes, because you're bloodied all over, because that is real pain, and these guys really messed themselves up over that, and I could not watch it. I don't consider that entertainment. It's great for I guess high school kids or something like that, but it's just not for me.
Yeah, in the Mick Foley book, he's always talking about getting himself all busted up for the audience, and that the forehead is the best place to bleed and stuff because of all the added gore, and it bleeds a lot. But I don't know. I like the more traditional wrestling, I think, without the barbed wire and everything. But
me too. That's
but
another
as far
story.
as the movie goes, I thought that this movie was excellent.
Yep. And I'll be watching it someday soon, as well as Beyond the Mat, and I'll get to see all the similarities and differences to that.
Oh yeah, for sure. You should definitely check out Beyond the Mat. It really gives somebody insight as far as the world beyond wrestling, and also anybody who was not a fan of wrestling back in the day can kind of maybe appreciate what was happening in the 80s and 90s, and what that means for today's wrestlers too. But this is quickly becoming the wrestling podcast, so I'm gonna transition us a little bit from wrestling to the Wii, which is actually, for me, is very exciting because one of my favorite games, The Boy and His Blob, is going to be coming back, remade for the Wii. And the screenshots, if you haven't gotten a chance to take a look at them yet, look really great. There's this really sweet character that they've created, based on those sprites from so long ago that were all kind of jagged and itty bitty. Now they have some really great screenshots of what the possibilities might be for this game, and I'm totally excited to play it. Did you ever play that game, Lee, Boy and His Blob?
I actually bought it recently, and I could not really get into it because I didn't really know what a lot of the powers did, like all the jelly beans on specific things. I got lost very easily. I know you can use a walkthrough on like GameFAQs or something like that, but I just didn't really have time to actually go and look at a walkthrough the entire time because I wanted to try and beat the game on my own. And A Boy and His Blob is kind of one of those games where I guess it would probably take weeks on end if you were just exploring on your own without any help, and I just didn't have any time for it. But I am looking forward to this Wii release. It kind of reminds me of a recent Xbox Live Arcade game called Braid. It has the same kind of art style, and that was also a puzzle game that was very popular. I think A Boy and His Blob is going to be, I think it's going to be a really good game. They thought of re-releasing this game probably based on the success of Braid, and I'd really like to see where they go with this because the game looks like it could be very, very creative.
Totally. I was actually thinking, because I was playing Braid the other day at my friend's house, and I was thinking about A Boy and His Blob, and I was thinking about how those kinds of puzzle adventure games it's almost like a lost art. And to have a game like Braid, I think that's one of the reasons why it was so popular, along with the fact that it's a beautiful game to look at. If you've ever seen it, especially on an HD television, it's just gorgeous. And I know that they had been talking maybe about 5 or 6 years ago about doing a remake of A Boy and His Blob, and that art and imagery was much, much different than what is being shown now. I mean, now it almost even reminds me of Winnie the Pooh, the classic Pooh series. This really simplistic but yet really beautiful style of drawing. And I really hope that the game itself is just as much fun to play. And definitely the old school game, the original game, that one had a learning curve for sure. And it's one of those games that you absolutely really needed to have the manual to play it. Just like, E.T., you would never have been able to figure out how to play that game without the manual. And I think that this game is one of those games as well. But thanks to the power of the internet, all of that information is available. So if you wanted to go back and play that game again and you didn't have the manual, you could definitely find all that information somewhere online.
Well, I might give it a run through to prepare for A Boy and His Blob on Wii. I haven't really seen if it was going to be offered on disc or as a downloadable, but I really hope that the game's going to be successful. I know that you're rooting for the game to be awesome, and I'm rooting with you because I really think that this could be a spectacular game. All right, we got another crazy story, and this is for the PSP, which probably nobody really cares about. No, I'm just kidding. I love the PSP. It's a great, great handheld. It's about a new RPG that may be coming out here in America soon called Yuusha. It's like a 30-second RPG. What's a 30-second RPG? Well, you got to beat the game in 30 seconds. Now, that sounds simple and stupid as hell, but it's kind of like an 8-bit style game where you got to run around and power level and just run into enemies and just buy all these items, buy your equipment, and then you got to just rush towards the end and beat the end boss in 30 seconds. And it looked dumb as hell at first, but as you go on into the later worlds, it gets a lot more complicated, and the game is actually a whole lot of fun. And this is exactly the type of game I like for the PSP, because you can pick it up, play it for about a couple minutes, then turn it off, and then you can come back to it at a later time and just start up right where you left off. And this game really looks like it could be a really great game, and I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if they're going to bring it over to America because it seems like it's kind of going to be for a very small audience.
Yeah,
But
it's definitely a niche market for something like that. But I think it's an interesting concept. I mean, at least it's not a rehash of everything else that's already out there. You know, they're trying to do something different. Whether it's because they want to, be creative and try something different, or they're just trying to make money, who knows? But I think that at least it's an interesting concept and it's not something that's already being done.
right, because the best RPGs on PSP so far have been remakes and ports.
Yeah,
And
exactly. I mean, and I'll admit to the audience out there, I actually don't, I've never played on a PSP. I don't have a PSP. Um, but a lot of my friends have portable gaming systems, and it always does seem like there isn't a lot of newer stuff happening. It's a lot of things that are exactly like you said, just being rehashed and redone in a way that is manageable for a portable gaming system. I think that this is interesting, and I hope that it does come over here.
I hope it's also a budget price. I don't know. That's the only way they're going to get any sales. I really am looking forward to it, and hopefully it can be better than all the rehashes coming out. Though, yeah, I don't want to go off on a tangent about Star Ocean. That'll be another story another day.
So I think we should move on
Yes.
to we have this whole new idea for a segment. I mean, granted, it's our first show, so we have all sorts of new ideas. But the segment that we were thinking about trying out is an old school segment, which either myself or Lee picks an item or an idea or something that used to happen back in the day. And back in the day, at this point, I think is 5 years ago or more. And we talk about it and see what the other one thinks. So I think Lee actually had an idea for this week's segment. Do you?
Yeah, I used to play with these little cars back in the day. I think they were called micro machines. Spectacular little things. I didn't really remember much of me playing with the little cars all the time. I had the most fun, however, with a unlicensed NES game. It was a gold cartridge, and it was called Micro Machines. Now, they didn't get a license from Nintendo. They did get a license from the Micro Machines company, Galoob or something like that. And this game is easily one of the top 5 NES games of all time. You could play as like 10 or 15 different vehicles racing around on these little tracks, like racing around a beach or on a pool table or a school desk. And you could be like a boat, a sports car, an Indy car, tanks, helicopters. This game had so much variety to it, and it was especially fun when you played with a friend where you were just trying to see whoever could race far ahead of someone, like to the point where you were off the screen or they were off the screen, you would get a point, and there would be so many controllers chucked by my brother at me because I kept beating him so bad at it because, you know what? No mercy. No mercy.
But seriously, top 5? I'm surprised. Now I haven't played this game, but I've seen it. And what is it? I mean, really, top 5?
Yes, it's a very simplistic game, but it holds a dear memory in my heart because it's a very fast-paced, great game. I never actually bought it until a few years ago, but I used to rent it all the time because that's all I could afford at the time. I could only afford to rent a game $1 a day, and
Right.
it was easily. I mean, I have some great NES games that I like, but originally I had Micro Machines probably at number 1, but now that I'm starting to think a little bit more rationally, it's more top 5, top 3 even. It could be probably even a top 3 game. This
Wow.
is really an underappreciated game, and I was really thankful because Stuttering Craig from Screw Attack, he covered Micro Machines on GameTrailers.com, and he really helped spread the word about how awesome this game is. He shares my sentiment that the game is spectacular. He didn't put it in his top 10 list, which is fine, but this is really a great classic that nobody else really played because it had that unlicensed tag on it. But you can't really miss it. It'll be on eBay. It'll be a gold cartridge, and it is just packed full of fun. There were some sequels. I haven't really played the sequels that much, though I heard that Micro Machines 2 for Super Nintendo and Genesis, I heard that game was spectacular, and I'm going to get that soon, and that's going to get the still gaming treatment as well as the original Micro Machines. But that's a long time down the road, but it's going to be a great, great episode.
Well, I feel like I really just learned something about you because I had no idea that you really liked that game. I would not have pegged it, but hearing you talk about it, it sounds really great, and it sounds like something I should definitely check out, especially since I've been playing Mario Kart like almost every single day. So
Yep,
I definitely like me the racing games, you know.
Yep, I'm not a big racing game fan, though I did play some of the great games like Gran Turismo. I had been playing Mario Kart Wii for several months, even though I didn't think the game was really all that great. I did play it a lot. It was very addictive, and I just had to put the controller down after I had like a Battle VR online rating of 9,000, which means you have to just race and race and race and race. And I don't know, I gave up on that game after I figured out that it had kind of balance issues, where if you stay in last place, it gives you an advantage because you're able to get all the cool power-ups and just destroy everybody. So I was just sick and tired of playing the game.
Well, I don't know. I just think it's fun. I think they just figured it out with the steering wheel and everything. Like, that aspect of it is just so much fun. And like being able to play with my friends, as far as a party game goes, I think it's really great. And we've been playing online with people, all over the world. And, what's really fun is if you get somebody that it's like, you're pretty much on the same level as far as competitiveness and ability in the game. That can be really great, because then you can play with that person that you've never met before for an hour and keep going back and forth as to who won what round. But that's the one thing that I think the Xbox has over the Wii, is the ability to actually talk to those people if you wanted to, or to keep in touch with them later or something. Because I don't know. There's something, I think they missed the boat a little bit on the Wii. They got a lot of things right, but I think the Xbox actually kicked their butt. But as far as micro machines go, I'm definitely going to have to check that out, because I've never played that game before, and it sounds like it's pretty amazing. So.
Oh, yeah. Pop it in your NES. It's great. We went a little bit new school there with Mario Kart Wii, but that game has a very retro feel to it, considering the series has been around for almost 17 years now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Definitely.
But, Z, guess what?
What?
It is time for another one of our new segments. We have a million ideas. Well, maybe about 5. But still, this is called the
Turbo Top 3!
The Turbo Top 3? What does that mean?
All right. Now, this is going to be complicated first, but you're going to get the gist of it fast enough. I mean, it's really simple. Honest. All right?
When you say that, I totally don't believe you.
Here's a quick rundown for our listeners. I'm going to start by asking Z to name her top 3 of whatever category I choose. She has no idea what I'm going to ask her. We're going to play a short music clip, about 8 seconds long. Then Z has 33 seconds to answer. Afterwards,
33 seconds?
Yep, you got 33 seconds. You only got to name your top 3 and explain why it's your top 3. And then, it's my turn. The roles are reversed, and I have to answer one of Z's top 3s. There's more to it than that, but we'll get into it as it happens. We might not be able to get to other rules in this episode, but we'll see. It just depends on what answers you give.
Okay.
Z,
all right.
Are you ready?
I hope so. No, I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Top 3 Kirby games. Go!
Kirby, the original Kirby, Kirby Pinball, and Kirby Superstar.
Objection!
No!
Yep. Sorry, that's another one of the rules. If I think something's in that list that I don't agree with, I'm going to object, and I'm going to ask you to explain something. Explain Kirby's Pinball. Explain why that is in your top 3.
Because I just love pinball games. Like, that's something I really enjoy, and I actually really appreciated the fact that they tried to create a Kirby pinball game. Oh, Kirby has so many games. There's also that Kirby golf game, and that Kirby golf game is actually really good. And I don't usually like golf games, but that is a good game. Oh, it's hard to pick. Well, I guess if I could swap out, I would say Kirby Pinball, Kirby Golf, and the original Kirby.
Okay, I was just messing with you. I love Kirby Pinball. I play that on Game Boy all the time. I love that game.
It's really fun. It's a really fun game. Like, they really hit the nail on the head when they made that one,
Yep, that's one of the lesser known games, I think, for Game Boys, Kirby's Pinball Land. That game is just spectacular.
It's just fun to play. And I just like games that are really fun to play.
Okay, now lay it on me. I know I have 33 seconds. You were able to answer that in a good solid 6 seconds. You didn't even need the 8 seconds to think. Now you'll be able to witness how slow I am at thinking. So choose wisely, else this show is gonna stop quickly.
Okay, top 3 video game villains. Go.
Oh my. Well, I guess we're gonna go RPG on this one. Number 1. Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII. Number 2, Kefka from Final Fantasy VI. And number 3 is where you have me stumped. Now I need to think. Do, 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 do.
Can he do it, ladies and gentlemen? Can he figure out what his number 3 is?
For now, I'm just going to have to go with a classic. I'm going to have to go with Bowser from Mario.
I think that's a good choice. I support that. I wouldn't want to meet Bowser in a dark alley, that's for sure.
Yeah, but he's a pushover. All you got to do is learn this pattern, jump over his fire, and then take his axe or something.
It's true. It's true. Release the drawbridge, into the flames he goes. But
Those are down every dark alley, I know. That's for sure.
Well, so that was it. That's our Turbo Top 3. I think we fared pretty well this time. But if anybody had any ideas for Turbo Top 3, I think they could definitely send them our way. And if they wanted to email us about anything at all or any questions or anything, they could do that, right, Lee?
Oh, that's right. We're going to have an email address set up for all of your questions and all of your comments at mailbag@leeandz.com. We're going to read some of your questions on the air. Not as much as some of our other favorite shows out there, but we do have time to read maybe one or two of your shows, and some of the rollover questions that we won't get to, we might be able to answer them on our blog at leeandz.com.
It's true. So definitely, if you have anything that you want to talk to us about, or any questions or any suggestions, for sure, let us know and send us an email at mailbag@leeandz.com. Yay!
Well, it looks like we got about our first episode in the books here. We're almost out of time.
It's true, but we definitely are going to keep making these episodes. So definitely stay tuned and be, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying, but I'm saying that you should listen to us and let us know what you think.
Absolutely, because we are always open to comments and just your questions, and we just want to know what you all thought. And also, since we can't think of something to end on, we want to hear what you think about what should we end on. What could we say to end on each podcast? If we read yours on
catchphrase or something.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. If we read your catchphrase on the air, we'll give you a prize. Whatever that prize is going to be, I don't know yet, but you're going to get a prize.
It'll be awesome. Prizes are fun.
I got to reach into Santa's sack over there. I got like 20 DVDs over there. So you're going to at least get a DVD for your trouble. So send in all your ideas about what to say. It's a very simple contest, and I'm sure that it's going to make us feel kind of dumb because we didn't think of it. Because I've been drawing a blank on even a catchphrase for Still Gaming for the longest time.
We've been going back and forth, but definitely if you guys had any suggestions, that would be really helpful and really awesome. So I guess for now, this is the end of the podcast, but we hope you guys enjoyed it, and we're definitely going to keep making these, and let us know what you think.
This is Lee for Still Gaming.
And this is Z from Little Miss Gamer.
And we're signing off, and we're just hoping you guys can write something better for the end.
Take care. We'll talk to you later.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.